Hey, welcome to Bollox Talks and Tangents. It's the Blevins Boys in the studio. I forgot the name of our show again, Blake. Blevins Boys in the studio today. Real excited to be here. We got some fun stuff to talk about. We're talking history of hygiene. By the way, I went down that rabbit hole like crazy, Blake. I don't know about you, but I got some really, really crazy stuff that'll actually make your skin crawl. Maybe we need to use that phrase at some point. But we're doing that, and we're doing Unlikely Champions. Unlikely Champions, which is a little interesting. It's a lot of sports stuff, and that's teams that probably shouldn't have won, but somehow put it together for that season and won anyway. But first off, what we got to do is I got to tell you, our whiskey of the week this week is Citygate Distillery, and it's one of the more interesting whiskeys that they have over there. It is their cinnamon whiskey, and a lot of people compare it to like a Fireball, but it's not a Fireball. It's a smooth, sweet, sipping whiskey, and that's what I got in my glass today. And if you like a cinnamon stick, it's a whiskey for you. So, that's the whiskey, Blake. It's probably one you could tolerate, even though you're not a whiskey drinker.
I know. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Dad.
It doesn't disappoint me at all. It gives me a designated driver for eternity. But we got to go over our sponsors. We already talked about Citygate Distilleries. Citygate Distilleries is located right there on Sponsor Row. They're a sponsor along with St. Augustine Distillery. They do an amazing job with all their whiskeys, their bourbons, their alcohols, all their spirits. Just do an absolutely amazing job. Best tasting tour in the country. So go check them out. And if you have friends in town, take them down there. Let them do the tour. Staying on Sponsor Row, we have Meehan's Irish Pub. Amazing food. They have 3 bars in one. They got the Johnny's Oyster Bar up top. They got the backyard where they do music. Just a great vibe in the backyard there. And then they have their regular pub, Meehan's Pub, and they have great food. If you haven't tried them out, make sure you go see them. They're right on the bayfront. St. Augustine Pirate Museum. This museum is one of the most underrated museums in the country. It has over 800 original pirate artifacts. We were able to get this museum from Key West. Mr. Croce decided to bring it up here, and it's had amazing success. Cindy and Michael and the staff over there do an incredible job. So go check it out. Ask for Captain Mayhem if you want to do a tour. Staying on that Sponsor Row, River and Fort ate there just when it was just 2 days ago, Monday. 3 days ago on Monday, I had family in town. This is where I took them. It's just an amazing view, great food, wonderful people. They'll take amazing care of you. You can't get a better view in town because you know what you're overlooking when you're sitting at River and Fort. Blake.
You look at the river and the fort.
Wow, right on time. All right. Abare, Kresge and Associates, they are the best CPAs in town. They have been my CPAs for a decade. If you think you can do your own taxes and save money, you're wrong. You're just wrong because they know the tax law better than anyone else. They know where to save you money. Give these guys a call, Abare, Kresge and Associates. Chesire, I can't even say it right. Chesire Customs and Collision. I was so worried about the second part of it. I messed up the first part, Blake. Go see Chris over there. He's got state-of-the-art shop over there off of Holmes Boulevard. If you're looking just to touch up your car, if you got a little fender bender or something like that, go see these guys. They'll match you up just right. Or if you need an entire paint job or a restoration, they can take care of you on that too. All right. Last but not least, a sponsor that is near and dear to my heart. Blake, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Coquina Coast Realty.
Wow.
All right. Coquina Coast Realty, that is the real estate company that is in our family. And I don't know why I haven't been advertising it before, but it's time to start back advertising. Can't be a secret agent. Yes, I am a real estate agent, and that's how I pay some of my bills. But if you're looking to sell your house, or if you're looking to buy a house, if you're looking for an investment property, give me a call, and I can give out this number off the top of my head, 904-669-7901, Coquina Coast Realty. All right, Blake, it is now time for word origins. Are you prepared, sir?
Yes, but I really hope that I'm not repeating stuff.
Okay. Well, you know what? If you are, it's going to sink in a little. It's going to sink in a little better. So, which one are you going to start with?
All right, I'm going to go with. I'm going to cut to the chase.
Cut to the chase. Okay.
Yeah. So what does cut to the chase mean to you?
I wasn't ready for a question because I was trying to sneak in a sip. It means get to the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't beat around the bush. Cut to the chase.
Yeah. But you should cut to the chase when I ask you the question. It instead of sipping on your good cinnamon whiskey.
Oh, I got to it, but you caught me. You like have a career as a waiter or something. Wait until I took a sip and then ask a question.
Sorry about that. All right. So the phrase originated from Hollywood.
Okay.
So basically, so when movies ended in a chase scene, the first reference to it in a script came from a 1929 film where it says Jennings escapes ... cut to the chase. So that was the first reference to it. But the movie title interested me the most because it is a long one.
The movie title?
Yes.
So it's obviously it's a silent movie, 1921. Mm-hmm. So what was the movie title?
It was titled Simon & Schuster presents the super colossal wonder picture epic of this or any other century Hollywood girl.
That's the movie. That's terrible marketing.
It is
terrible marketing. So the only good part that came out of it is cut to the chase.
Yes.
Okay. They should have cut to the chase before they gave it that title.
Yes.
All right. My first one is by and large. You have any idea what by and large is?
Well, what I when I hear by and large, I think of like the Costco like wholesales, like just like buying everything in bulk.
Okay, well yeah, it's BY, not BUY. So it's by and large. It's BY, not BUY, but it's BY, and it basically means everything involved. What all is involved? By and large, what all is involved? And it's a nautical term. And it came to be in like the 16th century. And if you were in large, that means the wind was behind you and pushing you at the maximum. If you were sailing by, that means you were sailing directly into the wind. So basically, to encompass everything, the term by and large it encompassed all the winds, it encompassed everything. So it came from a nautical term, and that's by and large. All right. What's your second one?
Good. All right. So my second one is don't cry over spilled milk.
Okay.
But you mainly cry when there's no milk, though.
Yeah. When we're out of milk, I cry. And if we spill the last part of it, I cry. I like my milk.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically, so the first, according to reference, the first reference of it comes from an English writer named James Howell.
Okay.
In a book called Proverbs in 1659, where he says, "No weeping for shed milk," but that is not the official confirmed first reference of it. But and apparently legend has it comes from supernatural lore. In which in the days when people strongly believed in fairies, it was common to lay out a shrine for them consisting of small quantities of food and drink, particularly their favorite, milk.
Okay. So that was basically for the deities. They left the milk out there.
Yes.
Okay. And what century was that in?
1659 was the first reference in writing.
Okay.
So may have been back a bit earlier than that, but yeah.
Okay. All right. I like that. All right. My second term. I went to what we're going to talk about first on the first half of the show. I wanted to find out where the word hygiene came from. Did you see this during your search?
I didn't.
Okay. So hygiene comes from, it is actually, let me grab it right here, make sure is Greek. I wanted to make sure it was Greek. It's the Greek goddess of health, and her name was Hygeia. Okay? She was the daughter of Asclepius, yes, and he was the god of medicine. So it became more popular during this term became more popular during the Industrial Revolution. So between like 1750 and 1850 is when the word really started to kick in during the 19th century. And that's when hygiene became the forefront, and they started realizing you really got to clean to stay healthy. Mm-hmm. So
still do to this day.
Yeah, it's still today, and I have an entire timeline.
I do as well.
Of hygiene. So
I think we use those same websites.
Do you think we do?
Let me guess. Does yours start with 4,000 BC with the Egyptian women?
Yes, it does. So right. we're on the same page then.
Yeah.
So we did the same research, and that was the best article I found. I went to about 6 different articles, and this one was the timeline. I think gave the best stories of where it's at. So we're going to work our way through that timeline.
All right. Do you want me to go ahead and start it off?
Where do you want to start?
Well, let's start off with the beginning on here with 4,000 BC.
Okay.
Oh boy, you're going to hear a lot of harmful chemicals used in this discussion.
Yeah, there's a lot of missteps through the history of hygiene.
Yeah. All right, so begin in 4000 BC, Egyptian women apply a galena medstemet made of copper and lead ore and malachite to the faces for color and definition.
So basically, they
rub themselves in metal.
They rub themselves with metal, kind of to almost as a makeup.
Yes.
All right. So the first misstep that I saw in history. We're jumping forward 1,000 years. All right. 3000 BC, the ancient Romans invented lead-lined water pipes. All right. We all know it. And tanks. All right.
Oh.
So the pipes were made of lead. The tanks were made of lead. Everything. And it was only the rich could pay private water companies for their drinking water and their water needs. So they paid a company. There was already, Waterworks was already, before Monopoly even came out. It was 3000 BC. All right. The only problem with this is they let the water sit and stagnate. So the water that the rich were using was pretty much the same as the water that the peasants were using. So we already had a water scam in 3000 BC.
Oh, boy. All right. So 200 years later on, in 2800 BC, it was the first signs of soap or soap-like products were found in clay cylinders during the excavation of ancient Babylon. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So at least we had soap for a while. So for the people that don't use soap, the primates are using like ancient people were using it. So why not modern times?
Yeah, and they use like boiled fat and ash.
Yeah.
Whew. I'm sure that smelled great.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Rubbing up a grandpa's ashes over here.
Yeah, that's just can't. All right, I'm going to jump way ahead at this point. I'm going to 600 BC.
Ooh.
Okay? 600 BC, the ancient Greeks, they start using public baths. And public baths became very popular through history as we read more about the public baths. And the book of the bath, the history of the public baths begins in Greece in the 6th century BC, where women and men washed in basins near places of exercise. The ancient Greeks also start using chamber pots. So instead of just peeing on the ground, they start using chamber pots.
Ooh.
Instead of just peeing in the corner. And they were used from BC, the ancient Greece, and they also would use them all the way up until the 18th century all over the world. So its chamber pots were basically created in 600 BC and were used up until the 18th century, and probably still used today in certain parts of the world.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to skip up to after death.
Can you imagine just waking up and going in the chamber pot, Blake?
I don't want to think about it. I want to have a good sleep tonight. Dad.
All right. Here's you know how I always tell you, if you're walking with a lady, the lady always walks on the inside of the street.
Yep.
All right. The reason that came to be, people think it's about getting splashed from cars and stuff like that. Right? I mean, is that what you thought it was, or just having them safe?
Yeah, I got that, but both as well.
All right, but it actually came from in London, the overhangs of the balconies. People would dump their chamber pots onto the street, and then it would wash down the gutters. But the man would walk on the outside in case someone dumped their chamber pot, and it splashed. It would splash on the man instead of the woman. So that's the origin of the man walking on the outside.
Okay, I'll be using the safe for a date explanation though.
Well, I doubt that that's the reason now. It's more of a safety thing now.
Yeah.
Or somebody splashing a puddle on you now. Yeah. But it started, the chamber pots being dumped off the balconies is where that tradition came from.
Yeah. All
right, where are you going?
All right, so I'm going to go up to 27 A.D., where ancient Romans believed in the ability of urine to remove stains. Until the medieval period, people used lye.
That's 27 BC.
Wait, what?
It's 27 BC.
Okay. I definitely think I believe that there's a mistypo in there because let me explain, because in the previous one about 19 BC.
Oh, you're right, it is backwards.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. I'm with you.
So
I can see that.
Don't believe everything on the internet you see.
I got you. I'm with you. Oh, yeah. Good catch.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, until the medieval period, people used lye made of ashes and urine to clean off their clothes.
Yeah, they use urine as a detergent.
Yeah. So double check what's in the yellow pod of your Tide Pod tonight.
Yeah, urine seems to be a theme throughout history.
Yeah. But,
when it came to hygiene, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely.
It's pretty frightening. All right. All right, here we go. I'm jumping ahead to 1110 A.D. Mm-hmm. All right. In Britain, one pamphlet recommended that people keep their teeth clean by rubbing their teeth with powdered fish bones and then rinsing their mouths with a mixture of vinegar and sulfuric acid. That's the worst mouthwash I think anyone could have ever created. I think it was some drunk dude in a pub. And it's like, hey, I got my printing machine. Let's make a pamphlet and see if people will do this.
Yeah. I'm sorry to notice, like the three from 400 AD, 1110 AD, and 1308 AD. All those involve Britain and teeth, and you wonder today why
their teeth are so horrible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's because of powdered fish bones.
Yeah. Because the next one on here, 1308 AD, it was common in Britain for your barber to remove your teeth.
Yeah.
And basically, if basic treatments didn't fix the problem, they would remove it without the help of Novocaine.
Yeah. Well, in those times, it was at that time, the barber pole. Mm-hmm. All right. So the barber pole is red, white, and blue. Each one of those colors represents something. And the red is the barbers were also usually the doctors, the surgeons, and the dentist of the town. So that barber pole actually represents that time in history where the barber was the go-to guy in the community.
So does the spinning of the pole mean anything?
I don't know what the spinning means, but the colors on the pole, I know they represent different things with it. All right, let's go to the Black Death pandemic. All right, you know which children's game came out of the Black Death?
I was thinking about I know it's one that goes ashes, ashes, we all fall down, but ring around the rosy.
Ring around the rosy. That's it. It's ring around the rosy.
So I had to sing the song in order to remember it.
All right. So the Black Death swept through Europe and almost wiped out Europe. It took out almost 50% of the population in a 4-year period. And they believe that it started originating, you know where?
In Central Asia.
In Asia. And it probably was spread through the trade routes as people were coming across and back and forth with those trade routes. But this one, to me, the next one, you're looking at the same list, 1400 AD. What do you think?
It was when the Chinese introduced toilet paper.
The very first toilet paper was used in 14 AD.
Yeah.
Okay, so we started talking about 4000 BC, right? Mm-hmm. 4000 BC, and now it has taken over 5,000 years to invent something to wipe your butt.
Yeah.
All right? You and I didn't grow up in a world where we didn't have toilet paper. All right? My grandfather, Papa Frank, in Tennessee, he didn't have running water at his house, and he didn't have a bathroom inside his house. It was a true outhouse. You'd have to go out and dig. And we had to, I remember as a kid, having to bring toilet paper with us when we stayed at Papa Frank's house.
Yeah.
He literally used magazines, Sears catalog, any of those things in the outhouse.
I'll apologize to our viewers who are currently eating food right now to add that to listen to that. We unfortunately apologize.
Yeah, but I mean that's part of the hygiene, though. I mean, just imagine for over 5,000 years there was people before 4,000 BC.
Yeah, but real quick, Tan to Joe, what's your thoughts on bidets?
I'm okay with it. I still don't feel as clean with the bidet. I feel like I still gotta
scrub it out.
You know, but I think that's the way I was raised. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't think they're horrible.
Yeah.
I'm not anti-bidet, but it's just, I think I still need both.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Anyway.
All right.
So next one, I'm going to skip ahead to 1789. So people were always fashion conscious during the 18th century. When their eyebrows did not look fashionable, they often masked themselves with tiny pieces of skin from a mouse.
Yeah. All right, and it goes all the way back to 1718, where it showed up in a poem that they were using.
Yeah.
So the dead skin of mice, instead of plucking their eyebrows, they covered it up with mice skin.
Whether if I saw the gentlemen out there, please always compliment your women on your nice eyebrows, because otherwise there could probably be some dead mice skin on there.
They could have mice skin, that's for sure. All right, we did skip over one date that I definitely wanted to bring in, and that's 1586. Sir John Harrington invented a valve that when you pulled would release water from a water closet. All right, and then in 1819, Giblin, a British patent, for the silent valveless water waste preventer. Wow, that's a mouthful. And that would allow a toilet to flush effectively. Unfortunately, it didn't run into any sewers. It just ran on the street.
Yeah. Well, speaking about toilets, we're going to skip up to 1861 with the first modern toilet.
Okay.
So this is famous guy that I won't say his name for comedic effect, but he didn't invent the flush toilet, but he is understood to have made major contributions toward its development by implementing a modern septic system.
You got to say his name.
I'm sorry, but it's so funny. I want to save it to the end.
No, you got to say his name.
All right, his name is Thomas Crapper.
Crapper. That is where the term crap came from.
Yeah.
That was where, and it's still disputed what his contributions to the toilet were too. Mm-hmm. But he definitely did a pump system that controlled the water system in the city and some of those things. So he was kind of the Renaissance man of crap.
Indeed, he was.
All right. 1847 in hygiene. This is more on the medical side. Medical students. All right. They found that child bed fever occurred in women who were being assisted by medical students. All right. So they were having their babies. They were assisted by medical students. All right. And Dr. Schimmelweis, he basically discovered that the students who were assisting in childbirth were also the same students that were studying the dead bodies. You know, they were doing autopsies and things like that, but they weren't washing their hands in between the two. All right, and after that, they instituted you have to wash your hands in any medical procedure. Mm-hmm. All right, so it became worldwide. You had to clean up before any medical procedure.
And what year was this?
This was in 1847.
And what year did was it Grover Cleveland Alexander that got shot, and or who was it?
They kept opening him up, and he died of sepsis.
Yeah,
he died of sepsis because they kept opening him up, and that was in the 1880s.
Yeah,
it wasn't Grover Cleveland; it was Garfield.
That's right. My bad.
It was early 1880s. It was Garfield. Right. But the death rates dropped 20-fold within 3 months once they discovered what washing your hands does. And one of the things that has become my new thing is I've washed my hands a lot more than I used to.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, all right.
So I'm the one that says 1920.
I'll do this one, buddy.
You do 1920.
All right, because this one, and I got one more that comes into effect in World War II. All right. Actually, I'll let you do the 1920, and I'll do the World War II.
I actually know what you do. Okay.
You want me to do the Lysol one?
Yeah, you do the Lysol one.
So 1920 Lysol. All right, still used today as a disinfectant on different things. But that's not what Lysol was created for. 1920 Lysol was sold as a genital disinfectant and birth control method. Lysol ads proclaimed a host of benefits from every gynecological need and was the leading form of birth control from 1930 to 1960. All right? Unfortunately, Lysol is actually a caustic poison causing burns and itches. After the first drop, most women were applying it to their skin for over 30 years. For over 30 years, they believed that Lysol was the best form.
Well, you definitely weren't having babies after that then.
Oh, gosh. That's just, it blows me away. I had no idea the origin of Lysol and where that came from. All right. My last one. Do you have any others for the hygiene?
So I think we went through the timeline that we went through. So, yeah. But I think you have a bonus one that came from World War II. You said.
Mm-hmm. All right. So one of the things I wanted to stick with, and it starts in the late 1800s, is the toothbrush. Mm-hmm. All right. We talked a lot about Britain and using urine and using ashes and using fish bones and stuff like that. But the toothbrush was actually invented in China, like in the 1500s. Okay, but it was not very good, and they were using hairs from a wild boar, but they didn't dry out, and then bacteria ended up getting in those toothbrushes. So the first true toothbrush wasn't really created again until to the public until like the late 1800s. But no one still used them. No one used the toothbrush until that time. And it wasn't until World War II, all right, when in the Army manual they required the soldiers to wash their teeth every day. And that's the synthetic toothbrush got invented in 1938.
Wow.
Okay, so it's that recent. All right, in 1938. But it wasn't until World War II and the soldiers came back after World War II that the toothbrush became a common thing in your household.
Yeah. Now, then a quick tangent though. So, are you more of a classic toothbrush guy, or do you like the electric toothbrush?
I'm more of a classic toothbrush guy, and I, because of my sports history, I have summer teeth. Some are here, some are there, and all my top teeth are a bridge. Because I got them knocked out. But I am a classic toothbrush guy, and I'm a guy that make sure you get your gums. So I don't think a lot of people get their gums. You got to get in there and get the gums to keep it clean.
All right, anyway, ad break time.
Huh? Hey, it's ad break time. All right, Blake wants to get to the sports. He can tell me right now.
Yeah, and just so you didn't say that they revealed to the public that I don't brush my gums.
Mm-hmm. Well, you just did. I don't have to.
Well, too late now. Yeah.
All right, here we go. Coquina Coast Realty. If you're looking to sell anything, commercial, residential, looking to invest, looking to do anything in the real estate world, give me a call my name is Troy Blevins at 904-669-7901. River and Fort Restaurant. Great guys over there, Bob and Jeff, the owners over there. They're creating a new restaurant. I saw those guys looking at the new restaurant today. It's going to be located between Harry's and the Hilton there. An upscale Italian restaurant's going to go there. But River and Fort, I'm telling you right now, these guys do it right. They put the money into it. They made that corner look beautiful. Appreciate you being in St. Augustine, River and Fort, and thank you for your partnership. St. Augustine Pirate Museum. Cindy over there, she runs the show. They also do the Oak, so there's great live music right there. But the Pirate Museum is a go-to destination. If you haven't been to the Pirate Museum and you've lived here for years, and I know a lot of people have not been that have lived here for years, do yourself a favor, go check it out. If you're like, I can't afford it, give me a call, shoot me a text. I will get you some passes because I want you guys to get into the Pirate Museum. All right, this place right here, one of the best bars in town, if not the best bar in town, and that's Meehan's Irish Pub. 3 bars in one. Reggie does such an amazing job. Go over there, sip on a Guinness, sip on a Jameson, try out the oyster bar upstairs. Great food. What's the app they got to have, Blake?
The Grand Tower, I think.
Oh, no. Meehan's.
Oh, Meehan's. The mac and cheese.
The mac and cheese is amazing. They do an amazing job over there. All right, Abare, Kresge and Associates. These guys are my accountants. They've been my accountants for a decade. Just do an absolute phenomenal job. And give them a call. You have any investment issues, you have any accounting issues, you're worried about your taxes, give these guys a call. Starting a new business, they'll set up your LLC for you. Give them a call. All right, Chesire Customs and Collisions. Got it right again. Blake, give me the thumbs up. Go see Chris Cheshire over there. They also have Cheshire Towing. They can tow you to the shop if you need to take care of it. They do take care of some mechanical stuff, but they are known for their custom work and making your old car look new. Or if you're just getting a fender bender and you want to make sure it blends in nice, these are the guys to go see, Cheshire Customs and Collisions. And last but not least, and cheers to them, City Gates Distillery. Like I said, the whiskey of the week is a cinnamon whiskey. It is a smooth whiskey. It tastes like you're sipping on a cinnamon stick. But great tours, amazing flavors at City Gates. Very creative with their spirits. At St. Augustine Distillery, it has been named the #1 tasting tour in the country. So Distillery tasting tour in the country, it's ranked #1 because of how it gets you through the history of bourbon and everything else. So give those guys a call over there, and if you have people in town, do the tour. stop in St. Augustine Pirate Museum, go see City Gates Distillery, St. Augustine Distillery, and stop and have a meal at River and Fort and do a nightcap at Meehan's. You got the whole sponsorship theme covered. All right, Blake, you ready to start in champions that probably shouldn't have been champions?
I am definitely ready. Which sport do you want? So we did.
I'll let you go whichever way you want to go, and we'll find out which way it falls.
Yeah. So the format we decided with was basically go with like the four major like sports of us, like basketball, baseball, hockey, and football, and plus like one offshoot sport off of those. So I'm gonna go with our favorite sport, probably say, and go with baseball.
Okay.
So the team I went with was the 1987 Minnesota Twins.
Okay.
Really good team. Burt Blyleven was on the team. Kirby Puckett was Kent Herbeck.
Kent Herbeck was on that team.
Yeah. So last year. So in 1986 they lost 91 games. In 87 they won 85 and 77. Even though that's a middle league record for today, that still got them the American League West Division lead. They got them the division. What was memorable about them was how good they were at home and how bad they were away.
Yeah, well, they played on a turf field, and their team was kind of built for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when they played at home, they knew which way the ball was going to roll, and it was the old turf.
Oh yeah, the Metrodome.
It was the old turf, and it was the old Metrodome.
Yeah.
And
to put it nicely, their home record was 56 and 25.
Whew.
Away record 29 and 52.
Woo. Yeah, but that turf was it was basically carpet just over top of concrete. Mm. All right, today's turf, artificial turf, and there's very few baseball fields that are now artificial turf.
Yeah.
Today's turf, it's actually the higher threads, and then it has the beads in it, and it doesn't hurt the way that old turf hurt. And I'm telling you right now, if you ever played on the old turf, it was painful. Yeah. And these guys made entire careers in that stadium.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, but especially the main guy, their main center fielder, Kirby Puckett.
Yeah.
He led the team with a .332 batting average, with 28 home runs and won a Gold Glove in center field.
He was a great player. He was a great player. I'm assuming he's a Hall of Famer. Right?
Oh yeah, he definitely is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they went through the Tigers in the ALCS, who were 98 and 64 that year, and they beat the Cardinals in 7 games. Yeah.
And that Cardinal team was a very good team in the 80s. It had like Willie McGee, Ozzie Smith on that team. They had some Vince Coleman was on that team. They had some real guys that were set up for turf.
Oh yeah.
So it made them. They definitely were the underdogs going into it, because there was teams that were set up for turfs and teams that's not the way it is in baseball now. Now everything's about the home run.
Oh yeah.
So if we're staying with baseball, all right. You have any more to add about that team, the 87 team?
I definitely want to say I definitely want to see like more indoor like stadiums just so we can get like a neutral environment.
Uh-huh.
Because sure, the wind's fun and all that, but I just want to see like the best teams in a controlled environment.
How many teams have retractable roofs now? I know Houston does and Miami does, right?
So I think it's Houston, Miami, Arizona, Toronto, and Milwaukee.
All right. Yeah. So in Seattle, Seattle's no longer in a dome.
Seattle's a bit iffy because it's covered, but they don't have like anything like blocking off the side, so they can still get wind inside.
Mm-hmm. All right.
They just won't get rained on.
And the thing about the Twins, and the reason I didn't pick them, is they actually followed up in 91.
Yeah.
And won again. Pretty much the same team. Mm-hmm. So, so they validated that championship a little bit.
Mm-hmm. But didn't they have the worst record in the American League in 90 though? So same with the
I think they went last to first two times within a 5-year period.
Wow.
But I think the Marlins did something very similar, and the team I'm going to talk about did was horrible for the first 6 years. All right, and I'm talking about the 1969. And Lenny's a Met fan, so the 1969 New York Mets. All right, so the Mets came in 61 in that period, and they had Casey Stengel, the great manager from the Yankees from decades ago. And what the Mets did to try and draw in, and their Shea Stadium was located in Queens. All right, so what they did is they made their colors blue and orange because New York had lost the Brooklyn Dodgers, and they lost the Giants, the New York Giants, from the Polo Grounds, which was orange. So the Brooklyn Dodgers were blue, and the Giants were orange. National League team back in New York, and this was the very first year they did divisional play. So they split up the National League into two divisions, East and West. Very first year they had East and West. Before that, National League, you had to win. Out of the 10 teams, you had to win it all, and there was no playoffs.
Yeah.
You won, and you went to the World Series.
Yeah.
Very first year they ever did this. The Cubs were way out in front. The Cubs, and we call it the Miracle Mets, but it should have been more the Cubs collapse. Because the Cubs, I think they were like 10 games up at the midway point. All right? So, 69, they have several Hall of Famers on this team, on the pitching staff. One of them, which kind of gets lost and obscure and just not out there, is Nolan Ryan was on this team. A young Nolan Ryan was on this team. All right? He kind of gets lost because he was so early in his career. He was wild. He wasn't that good at that time. But they had the greatest pitcher pretty much during the 70s that was starting to show fame. You know who that was?
Tom Seaver.
Correct, Tom Seaver. All right? But, Blake, do you know why they won?
Ooh. Like why they won?
No, my theory of why they won. Who's won more rings than any other human being, the World Series rings, than any other human being in the world?
Yogi Berra.
All right. Do you realize Yogi Berra's connection to the Mets?
Wasn't he the manager?
No, he was the first base coach.
Oh.
He was the first base coach. So here's a guy who participated in 21 World Series. He won 10 as a player, 3 as a coach. This was his first one as a coach. And he was the first base coach for Gil Hodges, who was also a very great player, who was the manager. But these guys finished 9th or 10th for the first 6 years of their organization. And then they go from last place to first place on the backs of Tom Seaver and this young team. So in baseball, to me, they're the number one. But I forgot Yogi was a part of that team until I started doing my Mets dive today.
Yeah, but weren't they part of the World Series in '73? And I think if they would have won because they got beaten by the Orioles, right?
They beat the Orioles in '69 and they lost to the A's in '73.
All right. If you think they would have won if the Mets won in '73 instead of the Athletics, would that have invalidated the title in '69?
Wait a second. It was maybe '72 that they.
I thought it was '73.
Okay, you might be right. I know the Reds. This is whenever the playoffs was when there was a big brawl at second base between Bud Harrelson and Pete Rose during the playoffs. And that's when the Mets actually beat the Reds in the National League playoffs, and the Reds didn't go to that World Series. The next year, I think the Reds went. So. All right. Let's go with what do you want to do? Football or basketball?
Let's do.
Or you want to do an off sport?
Let's do football, and you can do yours first.
Football. All right. You're gonna enjoy mine. The champion that shouldn't have been champion. You know where I'm going, Blake?
Ooh, I'm gonna say the 1990 Colorado.
No.
Oh, the 2002 Ohio State Buckeyes.
The 2002 Ohio State Buckeyes.
That was pass interference.
By far, the best team in the NCAA throughout the entire year was the Miami Hurricanes. their star running back gets hurt on the second play of the game. All right? Gets hurt on the second play of the game. Their quarterback, who's been phenomenal the entire year, throws like 5 interceptions. All right? Ken Dorsey, is that right? I think it's who it was.
I think so.
And it came down to a 2-point conversion. And at the very end of the game, Miami stops Ohio State on a 2-point conversion. About 10 seconds, I'm talking just count to 10, a flag comes out of nowhere, and they call pass interference. 2 of the Miami defenders were already celebrating, and they had their pads off. And then they let Ohio State, and Ohio State scored, and that's how they ended up with the 2002 championship. So, oh, you going silent on me now?
Yeah. Sorry about your loss, man.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. I have family in Columbus, Ohio, so I had to be a bit balanced.
You got to be neutral. You got to be Switzerland on this one.
Go Ohio State.
Yeah, you better remember who you live with there.
Anyway,
Ohio, you root for Ohio State now?
It might be
rent's going up. Rent's going up.
Okay, it might be Pitt.
Oh my goodness gracious, no.
Okay,
all right. What's your football one before you get yourself in more trouble?
I can't win. All right, it is. I'm gonna go with another college team, the 2010 Auburn Tigers. They also went undefeated as well, 14-0. They were first in the SEC, and they beat the BC and they won the BCS championship against Oregon 22-19. The leader of the team was Cam Newton, a former Gator himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing about Cam Newton. He is the only player from the 2010 Auburn championship team to have a passing yard, a rushing yard, and a receiving yard in the NFL ever. He is the only one to have at least one of those.
That just shows you what a beast he was.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he was a beast. I mean, didn't he win he won a co-MVP?
No, he was I think it was a unanimous MVP.
Oh, was he?
No,
okay.
No, he wasn't. But he was like a singular MVP though. But another thing about that team was only 7 members of that team was drafted to the NFL. That was like the fewest, because normally like,
off of a national championship team.
Yes. Yeah. And it's usually like 20 members, 15 to 20 members. 7 is the lowest. I think the lowest one now is the Clemson Tigers of 2018. I'm not sure about that. And plus also,
but that shows you the power of a quarterback.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because who was quarterback of that 2018 team?
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. All right, and the quarterback of that LSU team,
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow. And the Auburn team?
Cam Newton.
Yeah. I mean, that shows you the power of the quarterback in college football.
Yeah, and it definitely shows that because another part here was out of the 14 victories, they had 7 games where was like a 1-possession victory for them. So that was close, and they were the worst defense when it comes to scoring, because they averaged like 24.9 points per game on the scoring, which was the lowest. And I think like the team that came the closest was the 2018 LSU Tigers with 21.9 points per game from the defense. So they were definitely relying on Cam Newton. Like what they did there was amazing. And ooh,
no, he was a beast. He was a beast. I mean, all right. So we have, you can pick another sport, or we can do basketball.
I'm gonna say pick another sport.
All right. So pick another sport. So give me a sport. I'll let you go first on this one, because I might take up the whole time with my choice on the other sport.
So what's your 2 other sports that you have? Like
I have basketball, and then any other champion
do other
from
sports.
Any other sport. So pick whatever your other sport was.
I definitely want to hear your take on the Miracle on Ice.
Okay, Miracle on Ice. And when I said let's do another sport, I had 2 sporting events that really stuck out to me as far as the biggest upsets of all time. All right, and the Miracle on Ice, a lot of people know about. The other one that really stuck out in my mind was Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson. So in Japan, Buster Douglas, he was probably a top 10 guy, but wasn't probably a top 5 guy. He was like the biggest underdog of all time to become heavyweight champion. And Mike Tyson, who was doing more hype and other stuff and not really training, ends up getting knocked out in like the 10th round by pretty much a nobody. So that one to me is the biggest upset of all time, but so close to it is the Miracle on Ice, the 1980 USA hockey team. All right, so they're playing the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union is made up of professional hockey players. Like if you look at hockey today, a lot of the players that are some of the greatest players in the NHL today came out of countries that were once a part of the Soviet Union. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. So we had college kids or mid-range professionals, because at that time, professional athletes weren't allowed to be on the USA team. Mm-hmm. Did you realize that?
Yeah, I think I remember that. I think that was also part of the rules for basketball as well, right?
Yeah, it was part of the basketball thing and stuff like that. And the other upset was my Olympic team was the USA team that got robbed in 1972. Did you ever hear that story?
I have not.
So basically, they replayed the same play 3 times in the gold medal round, and the USA stopped them twice, and on the 3rd time, the Soviet Union scored. And that's how, that's one of the few times the USA did not even go to the medal ceremony because they felt like they got robbed so bad. Mm. So, but the Miracle on Ice, to me, because I remember watching, I'm sitting on my living room floor. We only got one TV at that time, 3 stations, and they showed it at night. So, in today's world, it would have been anticlimactic. You would have already known because they played that game earlier in the day. It was already taped. And a lot of people think that was the gold medal game, but it wasn't.
It wasn't.
So, but I can tell you right now, I remember, I think I was like 12, 10, I guess I had been close to 13 years old. I would have been close to that. I was like 12 years old at the time. It was in the wintertime. And I don't remember ever cheering so hard and hugging my family, and everyone was there watching it. And I don't remember any experience of any sporting event having that level of excitement as Miracle on Ice. And the goalie, Kresge, at the end, I can still visualize it, him looking for his dad in the stands with the USA flag. He's literally lipping, "Where's my dad? Where's my dad?" Who was up in the stands. So to me, the best upset win of all times is Miracle on Ice.
Yeah. All right. So do you want to go? So I just realized that my hockey one might not be as good as yours.
Well, it's hard to beat Miracle on Ice.
True.
It's hard to beat Miracle on Ice.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So anyway, I'm going to go with my other sport one. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say NASCAR.
Oh, okay.
Because we are kind of huge fans.
We're NASCAR family.
Yeah. So the championship I went with was 1992 with Alan Kulwicki winning it.
The Pollock.
Yep. So basically, going to 1992, he only had 3 wins, and at the time his highest points finish was 8th place. But throughout the year he was like consistent, like 2 wins, 11 top 5s, 17 top 10s, and I think his main 2 competitors that year was Davey Allison and Bill Elliott.
Yeah.
So going to the last race of the year, he was 2nd in points behind Allison, but those three had like a 30-point difference, so it was anyone's game. And actually, I think it's actually 6 people could have won it because 4th was Kyle Petty, Harry Gant, and Mark Martin could have won it as well, but they needed a little bit of help though.
Yeah. Harry Gant's the oddball. He was like the ultimate second place driver.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, but of course the final race of the year, the '92 Hooters 500, is considered the greatest race of all time because of the title race. Plus, there was Richard Petty's last race, Jeff Gordon's first race, plus Earnhardt was racing in it. So so you have like all those.
You had pretty much all the Hall of Famers. You had Davey and Bobby both were racing in it.
Bobby Allison?
I think Allison was still racing, wasn't he?
No,
he wasn't there.
He retired. He got a bad injury in '88. Had to retire.
Oh, okay, all right. So, but it came down to Davey, Kulwicki,
and Bill Elliott. And so at the time, so there was bonus points for like the most laps led. So and I believe if the crew chief for Bill Elliott made a mistake and pulled him in too early, so he didn't get the most laps led bonus, which I don't think it was enough, but definitely hurt his
chances.
Yeah, but
and Kulwicki was, and correct me if I'm wrong on this because you're really good at the sports history stuff with the racing. Is he the last independent owner? Like he owned his own team, like a single team.
Yes.
Is he the last independent owner to win a championship?
Yes, because 2011 was Tony Stewart winning it, but he was a co-owner, like co-owner of the team. It was with Gene Haas.
Haas, right? It was Haas, and Haas was up fronting that.
Yeah. So it was Kulwicki like funding his own team,
and he did something unique, and I remember him winning the championship, but didn't he do a Polish victory lap?
Yep, where he basically drove around the track the opposite way around so he can wave to the fans.
Yeah, so that way it put him on the driver's side towards the fans. So that's and how did he die?
It was a plane crash outside Bristol, Tennessee. It was him and two other executives from Hooters.
Okay.
That part of it. And unfortunately at the time, so after he died, Jeff Bodine bought the team. But the contract, because he was sponsored by Hooters at the time, the contract was only for Kulwicki. So Jeff Bodine didn't get the...
He lost that sponsorship.
Yeah.
Okay. And Hooters hasn't been the same since.
No.
All right. I don't even know if we got time for these. What was your basketball one, Blake?
Basketball was the 1995 Houston Rockets.
Oh, Blake. No, you didn't.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, and the reason Blake did this, and this is an inside, not an inside joke, but it's when the Orlando Magic got swept by, and you're wearing an Orlando Magic hat, and you did this to your dad.
I know. I just want to see you in pain.
This was the first finals I went to, so explain. Jordan is off playing baseball.
Yeah, well, actually, he came back. All right, so in 1995, Jordan came back mid-season. However,
that's right. He was wearing 45, and he got beat by the Magic, and I went to some of those games.
Yeah,
I was there when he put 23 back on.
Yeah, but because of another guy we will get to later. Caused that.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, but the Bulls weren't at full strength yet when they faced the Magic in the semifinals in the Eastern playoffs. Magic beat them, then they beat the Pacers to reach the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, that Pacers series was great.
Yeah, but the '95 Houston Rockets though. So in the previous year, '94, they won the championship. They were 58-42 last year. In '95, they were 47-35. In the last 18 games, they won 7-11, and they ended up as the 6th seed.
They limped in.
Yeah, it was bad. But they still had the same core. Akeem Olajuwon, the best player at the time. Sam Cassell, Robert Horry, and your bane of your existence, Kenny Smith. I
don't mind Kenny. Well, Kenny's a better announcer than he was a player.
Yeah. And actually, on Valentine's Day in '95, they actually traded for Clyde Drexler, his former teammate, as part of Phi Slamma Jamma.
Yeah.
So they beat the Utah Jazz in the first round, Phoenix Suns in the semifinals, and the San Diego Spurs in the Western Finals. San Antonio Spurs. Thank you.
Yeah, San Diego Clippers it would have been at that time.
No, they would have been Los
Angeles. Were they already in LA by that point? Okay.
Yeah, and then they faced the Shaq and the Orlando Magic. Game 1 will go down in infamy because of 2 words: free throws.
Free throws. So it came down, and I'm in the stands at this time, and Nick Anderson, who ran his mouth during the Bulls thing, and that's why Jordan put on 23 back, because he made a statement, 45 is not as good as 23. And I love people that say, well, Michael Jordan went 6-0 in the finals, but there were a lot of finals he never made it to. He got his ass kicked by Larry Bird's team. He got his ass kicked by Isaiah Thomas, and everybody seems to forget that. And he lost to a very young Magic team. But Nick Anderson ran his mouth, and Jordan came alive in that series and scared the Orlando. Orlando still won. Nick Anderson, an 83% free throw shooter, missed 4 free throws in a row in game 1. They had a chance to lock down game 1. All he had to do was hit 1 of the 4 and miss 4 in a row.
Sad day, Dad.
It was a horrible day for me. That was probably, I talked about the Miracle on Ice being my highest moment. That was probably the drive home from that stadium was horrible. Was absolutely horrible as an Orlando Magic fan.
But you gotta be honest, though. The Rockets deserve the championship.
Oh, the Rockets definitely. It was a very young Shaquille, and Akeem was in the prime of his career, and he worked Shaquille that series.
All right. One more question before we sign off for the night.
We're going a little over time. What you got?
One more question. So since originally the Magic drafted Chris Webber in 93, do you think if Chris Webber was on the team in the finals, do you think they would at least been a bit more competitive?
I don't know about that because Penny was so good and he complimented Shaq so well and he kind of fit into that team. So I can't say yes or no on that. And Horace was on that team. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was a good team. That was a fun team to watch. They almost won 60 games.
Yeah.
That was a fun team to watch. So I don't know if Chris Webber, because Chris Webber never really won anything any place he went.
Yeah.
So it would have made them really big, and I don't know what they would have had as far as point guards go. So, all right, you know what? That's the end of our show. I want to say thank you to all our sponsors. If you're out there, please hit that share button. Get people out there. Appreciate you laughing and learning with us. Hopefully you learned something today, and we really appreciate it. Blake, great job as always. This is Bollox, Talks and Tangents, and we'll see you next week.